Gary Vee has very confidently said that Google search is dying. And I've had a lot of questions about this, and I want to give my thoughts on, firstly, whether he's right or wrong. Secondly, what does this mean for Google Ads? Are we about to see the death of Google Ads? Let's get into it. So let's take a look at what Gary actually said. I've got the clip ready here.
Does everybody understand that Google search is fundamentally dead within the next 7 years? That everyone's going to AI? That ChatGPT just wiped out this entire room?
Okay, so he goes on to sort of further clarify his point, but that's like the main gist of it, is that Google search is going to be completely dead within 7 years. Everyone's switching over to AI. Now, before I get into this, I need to very quickly say that I love Gary. I think he's fantastic. He's an absolute legend in this industry. And if we look at like relative accomplishments, I'm not fit to lace his boots. Like honestly, seriously, he's done amazingly well. And some of the stuff he comes out with is brilliant. And he's as close as you can get to an oracle within the digital marketing space. And I don't think that what he said here is necessarily wrong, but it does lack nuance. And that makes it not quite right. Okay? So I think he's right, firstly, in that we're all switching from a traditional search experience that we've been using on Google, mostly on Google, there are obviously alternatives, over the last 15 years or so, and we're going to switch to more of an AI-based search experience. I think that is absolutely correct. But he pitches this as a battle between ChatGPT and alternatives and Google. And I don't think that is correct, because I think what he's not said there, what he's discounted, is Google's role to play within the AI-based search experience product. And if I had to bet everything I own on which company will end up eventually dominating the AI-based search experience, it would be Google. And I do think there's likely to be one dominant player eventually in this space, just like there was in search. Like Google's been the dominant player, there were lots of alternatives, and Google became the dominant player in sort of regular search, and I think the same will happen in AI search. We've been around long enough within the tech world to see that that's typically what happens in these spaces. You start out with a number of competitors, one really takes hold, and they end up winning. So why do I think Google is most likely to win? I could be wrong, and I'll talk about what the ramifications of that could be later in this video. I could be wrong. But the reason why I think Google is most likely to win in that space, well, there's a few reasons. Firstly, they have more data than anyone else, so we're constantly being told how important data is in terms of AI in general, but especially AI search, right? Absolutely key. They have more money than their competitors. Again, not a small thing. Google has massive budgets. Their regular business is insanely profitable. They can deploy that. They can afford to run at a loss, which may well happen in the switch over to AI-based stuff for a long time. But actually, I think the biggest advantage that Google has over the competition is mass market user behavior and inertia working for them. So Gary's pitched this as people are going to leave Google and they're going to move over to ChatGPT or an alternative like AI-based search experience, right? And it's easy for us working in the marketing space, people who are tech savvy, to see the people around us and our own behavior and think, well, I've done that to some extent or fully. I know lots of people that have, yeah, this is really happening. And forget that the vast majority of people have not made the switch from Google to ChatGPT yet, and wouldn't for quite a long time, because they've used what they use for a decade plus. If they're a little bit older, people adopt new technologies at much slower speeds if they are older. Think of your parents, maybe your grandparents. Like, are they going to start using ChatGPT? I've got a grandmother who doesn't use the internet. Like, she's definitely not going to switch over. My parents, are they going to switch from Google to ChatGPT? Very unlikely. And then it's not just older generations, it's people who work in different industries. If I think of all the guys I play football with, for example, who aren't in the tech-based space, a lot of them are like tradesmen. Are they going to use ChatGPT? Very unlikely. Like, they're going to use Google. Now, if ChatGPT or another AI-based search experience was shown to be massively, demonstrably better than Google, then over a period of a number of years, people would make the transition. Even people outside marketing space, tech space, etc. They would make the transition because they'd be recommended it by friends and things like that, right? But it does take a number of years. And to be fair to what Gary says there, he talks about Google search being fundamentally dead within the next 7 years. And that's to account for what I just described there, it taking people some time to move over. So getting people to shift from any platform to another, really hard. So many businesses have tried it with traditional search, right? Tried to get people to move over to different browsers instead of using Chrome, and more like to use their search engine. Different devices obviously have different search engines, but people like so often came back to Google. And it was shown to be such a sticky thing, right? The reason why I don't think That's going to happen. People are going to make that shift and they're going to be like, this is so much better. Maybe you could argue it is now, but I don't think that's going to happen over the next, 7 years, as Gary talks about. It's because of Google will incorporate more and more AI into its regular search-based experience. They already are. Think of all the AI overviews that you get when you search for something in Google now that you didn't get not that long ago. Google has AI mode, which at the moment is like a separate thing that you need to use, but I think is going to be integrated into regular default Google search more and more. So people are not going to have to shift platforms in order to benefit from the improved AI-based search experience as opposed to the traditional search experience. And Google will probably do it quite cleverly where it's like a bit of a hybrid between the two. I mean, you could argue that's what it is now with the AI overview and some results, a bit of a hybrid between the two, and they'll make that transition. So I think that Google is in a position to convince people, basically, if you think about it this way, they don't need to move home. They can stay in their existing home. It's going to be renovated and refurbished all around them. I think that's what's going to happen. Yes, Gary's right. They're going to switch over to an AI-based search experience, but I think for the majority of people, it will be within Google. For that to not occur, I think Google has to mess up. I think Google has to go, we're just traditional search, don't worry about AI, load of nonsense, we don't need to do that. And then people would kind of realize it's better and they would move. But Google is absolutely not doing that. They are a big player within the AI-based search experience, and I think they have all the ingredients to win in that world. And if they do, it'll just become part of the Google search experience, and therefore the vast majority of users won't shift because they'll have never had long enough of exposure to the new version and seen the discrepancy in value. I don't even think it needs to be the best AI-based search experience. Google obviously want to make that, but it could be significantly worse than, say, a ChatGPT, or not significantly worse. It could be comparable, but still win because of what I've talked about. More data, more money, more users use it all the time, have done for a long time, takes a lot to break that behavior. So then let's have a quick think about the consequences of that. So if we assume that Google is going to be at least a major player within the AI-based search world, do we think they're going to incorporate ads into their AI-based search experience and the evolutions of their AI-based search experience? Because it will have evolutions and will change over time. Absolutely. Google is one of the most profitable businesses ever. The monetizing search intent on the internet business model is one of the best ever invented. And the idea that Google's going to give up on that, maybe they're going to be a big player in the AI-based search experience but not monetize it through ads, I think is ludicrous. Like I said, it's one of the best business models ever. It's almost pure margin and at scale, because if someone clicks on an ad based on search intent, that's just money goes straight to Google. There's no cost of goods, there's no cost to deliver the service. Maybe tiny costs of developers and things like that, a little bit of infrastructure, but like really that is incredibly profitable, and it's why Google's one of the most profitable companies that has ever existed. So I very much expect Google, not just within the AI-based search experience, but also then monetizing it through ads, which obviously matters for us Google advertisers, because if they're monetizing through ads, then they want us advertisers to put ads there to be able to get clicks and interact with customers and generate leads and sales. I think Google's going to be like that scene out of Wolf of Wall Street, where Jordan Belfort is thinking leaving the company, is being forced out, and he changes his mind. I'm not leaving! That's going to be Google in this space, in my experience. I could be wrong, and I'll talk about the ramifications if I am in a second. The show goes on! But first, I want to quickly let you know about my Google Ads mentorship program, which gives you all the support you need to get the best possible Google ad results, including exclusive educational material, unlimited one-to-one support, and multiple daily live calls and Q&As with me and my expert team members. If you're interested, there's a link in the description below. So if I'm right and Google does become a major player in the AI-based search experience, or even the dominant player, then it's very much the show goes on for us Google advertisers. Yes, there's going to be changes. There's always changes, but not the seismic Google ads is dying kind of shift, right? So if I'm right, that's what's going to happen. But let's assume I'm wrong. Definitely a possibility. We know from history that there are times where a small upstart business beats the massive incumbent with all the advantages. That could happen here. Certainly happened when Google came up. It wasn't one of the first traditional search experiences businesses to come up, but became the dominant player in the market. I think it's unlikely, but it could happen again, right? Well, if that happens and Google search dies, everyone's switched over and they're using ChatGPT or something else, then Google Ads is dead, right? Not at all. I think that there are massive misconceptions, particularly from people outside of the industry, that Google Ads is Google search. And that is not true by a long way. There are so many more elements to Google advertising other than just search. You've got display, which is the most common ad placement across all of the internet, is going to be a Google display ad. Any sort of banner ad type of thing across websites, the sort of thing I'm talking about, and apps, is going to be a Google display ad. You've got YouTube. That's an enormous platform in and of itself. It's just a part of Google Ads. It doesn't get anywhere near the time and attention as an advertising platform as it should, because it's sort of encompassed within Google Ads. You've got other elements. You can put ads in Gmail. You can, is Gmail going to go away anytime soon? Very much doubt that. You can put ads in Discover. Obviously, that would be impacted a bit by people's usage of Google as a search engine. You've got Google Shopping. There's so many more elements to Google Ads than just search. And trying to kill Google Ads because of that, or predict the death of Google Ads because of that, is almost like trying to kill a hydra. It's like, okay, we cut off the search head, but like, wow, there's a whole load of these other elements that means this ad platform just isn't going anywhere. Google Ads is the largest advertising platform in the world by a long way, significantly larger even than Meta Ads when you look at by total ad spend. And even if search was to go away, which I don't think will happen, there's still so much more included within Google Ads that Google advertisers can look to use, and that would make it a platform that would be worth your time and investment to A, learn, and B, focus on, invest in, and be a viable acquisition channel for your business. In fact, I often tell people that search is the most overvalued and expensive part of Google Ads, because there's the intent, and that's what people think of when they think Google Ads, and where people often start when they start running Google Ad campaigns. That's often where the most expensive sales and leads come from, because of what I just said. It's overvalued. And a lot of the other elements of Google Ads are massively undervalued. And if you can just spend a bit of extra time working out how those work for your business, you might see massive results and huge scalability, because you're not relying on just people searching and the search intent. You've also got all the interruption-based advertising options. You've got all the YouTube stuff. You've got all the display stuff. So often cheaper conversions to be had elsewhere. One of the big stumbling blocks for a lot of Google advertisers to do that, and why they never get that far, is because honestly they're terrified of ad creative. They're kind of like vampires in sunlight. Like, any sort of ad image or video is immediately going to turn me to stone, or set me alight. I can't remember what happens to vampires in sunlight. But it's not good. I know it's not good. They're just terrified of ad creative, but if they can get over that hurdle, so many high quality, cheap conversions to be had, aside from search, when it comes to the Google Ads ecosystem. And a good way to think of what Google Ads would be like without the search component is to think of Meta Ads. There's no search within Meta Ads. There's hardly any search on Facebook and Instagram. Nearly all the advertising is interruption advertising. It's feed-based, it's story-based, it's image, it's video. And Google would be much more similar to Meta Ads without search. People just assume that because Google's had this tremendously valuable thing, and that's monetizing the search intent, that without that, the whole ad platform would be worthless. And that's not true at all. Like I said, think of YouTube, think of display. There'd be tons of value. It would just look more like Meta Ads. Meta Ads certainly isn't dying because of a lack of search, and Google Ads wouldn't either if search went away. And just to be clear, I don't even think search is going to go away as well. So I really don't think that the future of Google Ads is as bleak as some people are saying, and Gary has said/implied in his clip here. So if I had to rank what Gary says here on a scale of 1 to full, the world is doomed because of AI prophecy, I'd probably give it a, no, I'm not so sure, buddy. Like, well-intentioned, I think directionally correct, but it lacks the detail that it needs. And like, we're nerdy Google advertisers, we live for detail. And one last thing, you can watch this video next and make sure you subscribe, because just like Google search, when it comes to making YouTube videos about Google Ads, I'm not leaving.